Breeding season success doesn't start the day the buck goes in. It starts weeks earlier. In today's episode, I'm walking through how we prepare our goat herd for breeding season, including our feeding strategy after weaning, what flushing actually is and when it works, why mineral intake matters more than most people think, and how winter water access quietly determines whether any of it works at all. Let's get to it. Hey friends, welcome to the Get Goatwise podcast. Are you longing to raise goats and other animals for food but don't know where to start? Do you want to be more self-sufficient and less dependent on the grocery store? Do you wish you had a mentor to walk you through raising livestock? Hi, I'm Millie, animal scientist, cattle girl turned goat rancher, co-owner of Dry Creek Livestock, and simple living enthusiast. For 15 years, I've been on a mission to raise all of our own meat, eggs, and dairy. Here, we'll talk about raising goats and other homestead livestock, how to create sustainable animal management systems that actually work, and a bit of off-grid life with kids and livestock. If you're ready to take control of your food supply, raise livestock with confidence, and provide your family with the most nourishing meat, eggs, and dairy available, you're in the right place. Kick off your muck boots, pour a cup of coffee, and let's talk livestock. Hey friend, I'd love your help spreading the word about the Get Goatwise podcast. If this show has helped you, would you take a minute to leave a review? It really makes a difference, and it's easy. Just go to Get Goatwise on Apple Podcasts, scroll down to Ratings and Reviews, click on the purple words that say Write a Review, then give me some stars and tell me what you think. And as a thank you, I've got a free kidding due date chart waiting for you. Just head to getgoatwise.com/kidding-chart. It's on the honor system. You leave a review, grab your chart, and know that you're helping other goat owners find the show. Here's what's happening on the ranch this week. The new dairy does are doing well. We're keeping them in the barn for a while for a couple of reasons. First, it's standard procedure when we bring in new livestock to keep them separate from the rest of our goats for 30 days. Second, they're not used to our climate or living without shelter, so at the very least we'll keep them inside through this stormy patch of weather and let them adjust to the cold. Once they're turned out with the goat kids, we'll probably still bring them in at night or if the weather's looking rough. By next year, they'll be adjusted to life here and handle the weather just fine. We've had some wild wind here, but not nearly as wild as other places. A small town north of us in Wyoming clocked wind gusts over 140 miles per hour. That's the wind of a Category 4 hurricane. The weather this winter is not normal for us at all. It looks like we may pick up one more fence job and try to wrap it up before the end of the year. We got all the straw bales set out for our soil building project, and now we just wait and see what happens. The wind has been so wild that some of the bales have blown away from where we placed them, but I think they're all back where they're supposed to be, unless last night's wind moved them again. Bucks will go in with the does in about a week and a half, right after the first of the year. So we're making sure the does are getting plenty of hay and access to mineral all the time. This is one of those times where what you do before breeding matters just as much as what happens during breeding. And a few intentional management decisions can make a big difference in how successful the breeding season is. Before we talk about flushing, I want to back up and explain how we feed leading up to it, because flushing only works if it's built on the right foundation. Our does typically come off pasture somewhat thin. By the end of summer and early fall, forage quality is declining and many of those does are also still lactating. That combination pulls body condition down. We wean the kids and then the does are moved on to hay, usually in October, sometimes a little later if conditions allow. At that point, our goal is not to flush yet. The goal is to stabilize them after lactation, gradually improve their body condition, and get them to a moderate, healthy place without pushing them hard. We feed at a level that allows body condition to come up slowly, no drastic jumps or sudden changes, just consistent, adequate nutrition. That's important because flushing works best when does are moderate or slightly thin, not fat. and when their nutrition is about to increase again. If you feed hard all fall and early winter and never back off, there's no nutritional rise left for the flushing response. So this step matters. It sets the stage. Now let's talk about flushing. Traditionally, flush feeding is described as intentionally increasing nutrition before breeding to improve ovulation rate and conception. A lot of people picture grain when they hear that, and rightly so. Grain is the most common way to flush feed, but it's not the only way. Here's the key point. Flushing is primarily an energy strategy, not just a grain strategy. What matters biologically is that the doe's plane of nutrition is rising going into breeding. At our place, we feed sainfoin hay. It's a high-quality legume hay. We haven't tested this particular batch yet, and energy values can vary depending on when it was cut. But sainfoin is generally considered comparable to good alfalfa in overall feeding value. When we increase the amount we're feeding 2 to 3 weeks before breeding, we are increasing total energy intake, and that's what drives the flushing response. So yes, what we're doing counts as flushing. I'd call it forage-based flushing. The reproductive system doesn't care where the energy comes from. It cares that the doe's energy balance is increasing. One important clarification though, extra forage only counts as flushing if intake actually increases. If water is limited, if hay access is inconsistent, or if cold stress isn't managed, you may not get that increase, even if you're feeding better hay in higher quantities. Flushing isn't something you start the day the bucks go in. The most effective time frame is 2 to 3 weeks before breeding and continuing through the first 2 to 3 weeks of breeding. That's because ovulation rate is influenced before estrus. The follicles that will ovulate are developing well ahead of the next standing heat. I aim for about 2 to 3 weeks ahead of breeding, then hold that level through the first heat cycle. After that, we return to maintenance feeding, increasing to meet maintenance needs for extreme cold and late gestation. Next, let's talk mineral, because this is one of the most common weak links in breeding programs. I learned this the hard way with show goats. Mineral status can absolutely make or break reproductive success. Mineral isn't just about having it available, it's about consistent intake. Several trace minerals play direct roles in reproduction. Selenium affects estrus expression and ovulation. Copper supports conception and early embryo survival. Zinc, iodine, manganese, and cobalt all play roles in hormone production, metabolism, and embryo development. You don't fix breeding problems by chasing one mineral right before breeding. The goal is a balanced, goat-appropriate mineral available year-round with close attention to mineral intake going into breeding. We check mineral regularly and make sure the does always have access. The bucks are trickier, especially the Spanish bucks. Their horns don't fit well in standard mineral feeders, so I've been feeding mineral in a rubber pan, which gets wet, tipped over, and buried in hay, so it's hard to gauge their consumption. I found an idea to make a mineral feeder out of a milk jug, so I'm going to try that. If they destroy it, I'm not out much. The point is, bucks need mineral too, and they're easy to overlook. If breeding doesn't go the way you expect, mineral is one of the first places I look, not the last. Now we need to talk about water, especially in winter, because none of this works without it. You can feed excellent hay and provide the best mineral available, but without adequate water intake, the system falls apart. Here's the chain reaction. Limited water causes reduced feed intake. Reduced feed intake results in reduced energy intake. Reduced energy intake results in a poor flushing response. And without enough water, goats won't consume enough mineral because the salt content limits consumption when adequate water is not available. They don't want it if they can't get a drink. In winter, water can easily become the limiting nutrient, not feed. Cold water reduces intake. Frozen buckets reduce intake. And goats don't always make it obvious when they're backing off water. If the does aren't drinking enough, you'll see lower hay consumption, poor mineral intake, weaker or silent heats, and overall poorer condition. When preparing for breeding, water needs to be available at all times, not frozen, and easy for goats to access. In extreme cold climates, you can water train the goats, and we've talked about this on the podcast before. This is when it's very cold, well below 0 Fahrenheit, and the water freezes up fast. The goats can learn to get a good drink when the water is available. So it's important to clear the ice and make water accessible at about the same time every day. Water training is a process, and I wouldn't try to water train them during breeding season. Instead, spend the time and make sure they have access to water as much as possible throughout the day, even in extreme cold. If you're intentionally increasing feed to flush, water has to support that increase, or you won't get the response you're aiming for. So, as we head into breeding season, here are the key takeaways. First, set the foundation early. Bring does off pasture, recover them from lactation, and improve body condition gradually, not abruptly. Second, flushing is about rising energy, not specific feed type. High-quality forage can absolutely be used for forage-based flushing when intake increases. Third, mineral and water are non-negotiable. If either one is off, feed changes won't be as effective. Right now, with bucks going in soon, we're focused on consistency, steady feed, constant mineral access, and reliable winter water. This isn't about perfection. It's about giving the herd the conditions they need to respond well. I hope this helps you plan your feeding and nutrition plan leading up to a successful breeding season. If you have questions, you can email me at Millie, M-I-L-L-I-E, @drycreekpastures.com, or come on over to the free community at getgoatwise.com/community and start a conversation. See you next week. Hey there, thanks for listening today. I'm so glad you're here. If this episode helped you or encouraged you in some way, share the link with your homesteading friends. And if you really want to help me out, click on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and a review. You can connect with me on Instagram or email linked in the show notes, and meet me back here soon for more Get Goat Wise.